Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video. Today I'm doing the monthly stat show for April, covering all the tournament stats for, well, April. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video on the stats. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support, and an affiliate link to Element Games. But yeah, now we're covering the April stats for Kill Team. We're a bit behind, but that's fine. So I'm going to go over all the tournaments we've had for Kill Team in April. So this will be the first month with the new balanced data slate, and basically just before we've gotten the new Gallo Fall Kill Teams. And remember, when I go over these stats, it's all collated from the Best Coast Pairings app by Hot Sauce Teddy, so it wouldn't be possible without him, so thanks to all of that. And remember, if you're TO, if you get in contact with us either via like my Discord or something, we can upload your results as well, but because we only get them from BCP, there'll be a drawback with that. And then the other thing is, Best Coast Pairings only updated to use the new scoring system, where total victory points were capped at 24. So the only, well, 22, but 24. So the only issue is some of the scores are going to be a bit inaccurate in terms of pointings, but that's pretty much it. So let's get into the stats. So going over the April win rate, well, Gallowpox are still the best performing kill team. So this is after their nerf of capping how much free command points they get to once per game instead of every turning point. So it's good to see that's doing well. Then Void Dancer Troop are 60%, well 61% because they're still fine. Oddly, Veteran Guardsmen are up there at 58% with a 5% usage rate. That's actually really high. And then Phobos are at 55%. Look how well they're doing, right? And then we've got Corsairs also at 55% with Legionary at 54%. Then oddly, we've got Kazakin at 53%, really enjoying their new buffs. Elucidian Starstriders, the apparently dead faction, getting 53%, which is really good. And Hunterclade at 50%. Intercession still at 50%, and Commandos enjoying their buff at 50% as well. Higher Attack oddly at 49%. They were like kind of the dark horse, everyone thinking they were the best performing kill team, but they're still doing better than they were since ever. Hand of the Archon though had quite a big drop. They were like near 55% and they've gone down to 47%. Still good, but it's quite a drop. Crew are still okay where they are. And then you've got Warp Coven and Wormblade at 44%. Exaction Squad at 42%, which is actually pretty good considering everyone's been writing them off. And then oddly, we have Navy Breaches at 41%, which is really shocking. And then we have Pathfinders at 38% and Novitiates at 36%. So it's really weird to see the Chow NAF teams just drop off. This is the lowest result we've ever had for Novitiates, which is weird. But Pathfinders, I was joking about it, but if Pathfinders keep underperforming, even though we probably know it's due to Into the Dark, we might get Pathfinder buffs. But if we look at GT Plus results, so this are tournaments with 4 more rounds with 16 or more players, Gallowpox are still they're at 64%, and Veteran Guardsmen at 64%. Elucidian Starstriders 60%, and Void Dancer Troop at 60%. So when it goes to longer form tournaments, Starstriders are still doing well. And, Vet Guard, Gallowpox, and Void Dancer Troop are still doing well. So it's good to see. Glad to see even after a balanced data slate, we've still got 4 teams above 60%, 2 who are still above 60. And then we got Blooded at 55, Legionary at 53, Higher Attack at 52, so they're doing much better in longer form tournaments. Corsairs going down a bit to 51%. Intercession still around the same. Commandos 2. Phobos have gone down a bit to 50%, but that's still really good. And then looking down, Kazakin dropped down a bit, just below 44, whereas Farstalker Kinban, the crew are at 46, so they actually do better in longer form tournaments. And then the most shocking one is that we have Hand of the Archon dropping down to 36%. So they are really not doing well at longer form tournaments, which is surprising and unsurprising. Then Exaction Squad just below Hand of the Archon, and then we've got Pathfinders at 34%, and Imperial Navy Breaches at 31%, which is quite weird. Notably, at 42% we have Novitiate, so they do much better at longer form tournaments. But I mean, we can gather from these results that Pathfinders aren't doing well. Like, and even in longer form tournaments, Exaction Squad are more popular than Pathfinders. So, and you know, if you look at Compendium, you've got Deathwatch on 66% with a 0.11% usage rate. And then for long form tournaments, we have High Fleet and Talon of the Emperor, right? So you have High Fleet with 0.35 at 63%, and then Talons at 2.4% with 57. So not bad, not bad. Now we're looking at the basic odds table again. So this is just, instead of bars, we've got numbers. And with the recent Best Coast Pairing app update, it's kind of messed up how we collate scores effectively. So we still don't have placing data. Teddy's trying to fix it, but it's just like the BCP updated and changed everything. But as you can see, once again, most compendium teams most bespoke teams that have been doing well have over 100 players. Notably, Blooded have gone a bit down to 64, Wormblade holding at 50 along with Exaction, Breach is down to 90 players, which is a bit of a drop, and then Pathfinders and Novitiates both quite low around the 60 mark. Galloppox have actually gone up in players to 107. Veteran Guardsmen have definitely gone up to 167. Legionary have gone down a bit from 300 to 238, while Intercession have just stayed the same at 342. While Commandos have rocketed up to 261 players. So rocking 50% win rates in both categories, 261 players is really good. And then look, Phobos have jumped up, they're 147 players. And then if you look at Hand of the Archon, they're still quite popular with 147. So that's really good. And, you know, unfortunately, because we can't have podium data, I can't actually show it. But it's weird. Breaches have done not that well, considering they won Warhammer Fest and 4 of the top 10 were Breaches. But they must have done worse overall, as well as in that tournament as well. But if you look at the total games, with 2,600 compendium games, with about 300 bespoke compendium games, with 2,600 bespoke games, for a total of near 3,000 games. And overall, if you look at it, most factions are doing pretty well. It's only really the underperforming Pathfinders and Novitiates. And, you know, even though it's still quite low with 62 players and 55, it's quite telling their win rate isn't great. You know, this is for all tournaments, but it's great to see how everyone else is doing. I mean, it's impressive that Hand of the Archon, even though they've gone down a bit, they're still quite popular. And obviously we've had that surge of veteran guards players. And then just to talk about the bespoke teams, most of them aren't really that popular. Once again, the most is Talons of the Emperor at 78, who oddly outnumber a lot of the bespoke teams, but only really do well on Into the Dark, which is more showing how Into the Dark kind of warps certain teams. So next we have the size of the meta, breaking down how many players and tournaments we have. Once again, there's been even more countries joining, and as you can see, Australia now has 23 tournaments. We've had 2 in South Africa, we've had 47 in the UK, 8 in Japan, really cool, 210 in America, and obviously 270 in Spain. Spain slowly expanding to absorb all of Europe and all of their tournaments. But if we look at the number of events, April once again had the most events with 12 GT Plus results, which is a tournament, which is the most we've ever had, as well as 53 tournaments, which is the most we've had in a single month as well. So April setting records for Kill Team once again. Although when you look at the number of players, we're down not too much, but we're down quite a bit from March. So we're down about 50 players overall. And then from GT Plus results, we're down about 40. So it's still a bit of a dip, but it's higher than it was in February. So more events, slightly less players. So we'll see how that goes on as the year continues. Now we have the scoring analysis. So the only thing is, it's effectively stayed the same in both average points scored over time and mean points scored over time. As I said, this harkens back to the Best Coast Pairings app only updating for the new balanced data slate scoring update about 2 weeks ago. So it's not going to fully go into the data yet, but I just wanted to show it for continuity's sake. So we're still tracking that, and hopefully for May, we'll have a better idea of how victory points have changed in terms of how much people are scoring. But just to show how the points haven't changed too much. They've gone up a little bit, which is to be expected, but not to the extent we expected. but mainly because the scoring system wasn't up to date. Finally, I have the win rate table. So this is only bespoke teams, and it's showing basically, remember, 55 to 45% is the healthy range. That's what GW consider healthy, and we should consider healthy as well. And then you've got 55 to 60, which is kill team needs a nerf, so overperforming. Above 60 is like, oh my gosh, nerf this team. Then you've got 40 to 45, which is just underperforming, but you know, maybe it's just might need a little bit of a buff or just to keep an eye on. And then below 40%, which is just buff, right? Just buff. As I said, I'm very worried at this month's below 40% because you can see Pathfinders at 35, and then below them you can see Novitiates who want to just hide their name out of shame. Exaction Squad have dropped down a bit to 37%, but as I said, they got up to 44 when it comes to GT Plus results. But Navy Breaches are a surprising drop. This is their worst month yet, even though they won a super big event. Crew hovering at 45 along with Warp Coven, and then you know, we've got a nice healthy range. It's interesting to see like how well that simple buff for Commandos has boosted them up. Like all of a sudden that they can take the Bomb Squig and the Grot has just made them, so many people come out of the woodwork, and it's great to see because these are the kinds of buffs you like to see. Buffs that just change a little thing, but raise a team enough not to make them overperforming, but just to make them really solid. Because as you can see now, Commandos are more popular than Legionary. Like, it's really good. And overall, we've got a quite healthy range, but you look above 55%. So worryingly, a Veteran Guardsman, 59%. If they can keep this up, they might finally get a nerf. And then Void Dancer Troop and Galapox dancing above 60%, going, I don't care about 59% and below. We're a 60% kill team. We'll never get properly nerfed. But I mean, like, being serious, I think this is like the 4th month in a row or something for both kill teams. I think it's 5 months in a row for Galapox. Maybe it will show something. Who knows? The only issue is it's unfortunate we don't have podium data, but overall, looking at that, it's pretty healthy. So for the April stats overview, once again, we've had a pretty healthy month. Everything looks all right. Most kill teams are actually really close together. I think the most interesting one is seeing how Hand of the Archon have dropped off a bit, because I've been getting feedback from people that they're really hard to play, and I think it's starting to show off in the data. But it's, I don't know, Pathfinders are now just consistently around 35%, which is terrifying, but also still confusing. A lot of people are saying it's just due to Into the Dark, but there's no way we can actually tell that. So it's hard to say. And then oddly, Novitiates having their worst month ever. But this is the first time Novitiates and also Imperial Navy Breaches have done quite badly. So it's something to watch, because we do have teams who occasionally just drop down and then pick back up again. And Novitiates do zigzag quite a bit, so maybe they'll pick up. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of commending the consistency of Galapox and Void Dancer Troop to just consistently get above a 60% win rate, because they are doing well, and their usage is all right at like around 100, 150 players each. So, you know, eventually, maybe if these teams overperform for like 9 months, they might get some kind of substantial nerf. I know it's hard for those factions to hear. But Vet Guard spiking up, as I said, kind of not surprised. I'm just confused it took so long to happen. But once again, as we've had with the Novitiates and the Pathfinder drops, something we're going to have to watch and see how it goes on for May. Obviously, we're expecting another balanced data slate in June. So April and May are technically the biggest months of balance. And this is before the Gala 4 kill teams as well, which I'll get into in a second. But overall, if you look, the meta's really healthy. Commandos are like, I would say, the highlight of the month. Jumping up in both win rates and players, overtaking Legionary. And then also Phobos Strike Team having their best month ever at 55%, really enjoying their buffs. Hyrotech, you know, around 50% as well, doing quite well, even though, you know, even I was expecting them to be dominating, but maybe it's more like they're much better on paper than in practice, but they're still doing really well. So, You know, Exaction Squad are still underperforming, but not to the extent everyone would say they thought they would, where they thought they'd be trash. And as you can see with Exaction Squad, they're actually doing better at longer and bigger tournaments. So maybe it's something about them not doing well in short tournaments. Once again, still really close. It's just weird. We have to have 2 kill teams performing above 60%. It's like maybe it has to happen now. But even as I said, because we don't have podium data, I can only go over some tournaments. But Breachers, even with that 41% win rate, you know, they won Warhammer Fest. There was 4 of them in the top 10, 3 in the top 8. So they are doing well. It seems to just be losing everywhere else. And there were a lot of Breacher players at Warhammer Fest who did not do that well. As for the Gallo 4 kill teams, we'll see, right? It's who knows what's going to happen. I will say, for some reason, people didn't think this. This is just a distracted bit from the stats. Apologies. Obviously, it sucks that there wasn't enough stock. And I really do sympathize. Agree it's a mess. Like, it's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. So, though I understand why people have gotten so angry. I think it was just interesting saying, why don't you tell Games Workshop, John? You know, you've got their number. Just ring it off and tell them they've done something wrong. Get them another print run. And I was like, you really don't understand how little they care about me. But it'll be interesting to see how those kill teams actually affect the meta going forward, especially as obviously a lot of people don't have them, I guess. It's really hard to tell. So it'll be interesting to see how that kill team evolves into the meta. And obviously now we're fully into this data slate. May is kind of probably the most important month. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I'm still optimistic. I think we're at a good point in the game where because the last balance data slate was so good, we effectively just need minor tweaks, ignoring the Gallo 4 kill teams, ignoring them. But I still like where the meta is. And I think there's a lot of powerful threats that aren't dominating, in terms of there's kill teams you have to watch out for. And they do well, but they're not dominatingly well. And I really like that. And overall, even though the meta is still a bit swingy, I think it's really good. That's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's videos and the stats. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. I have an article version in the episode description below, which will have all the images. So, you know, if you want to see the images, you don't have to screen cap them. I'm just explaining them. And all thanks goes to Hot Sauce Teddy, because without him, none of this would be possible. So if you see him, remember to say thanks, because it's literally would have no idea what's going on. But yeah, remember, I've also got a Discord you can check out for in the episode description below, and Affiliate link in Element Games, where if you can actually buy Kill Team stuff, you can use my affiliate link, and Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So I'll quickly shout out to my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Tall Bardin, Sam, Ninja Lee 83, Nicholas, Nick, Kenzie, John Thomas, Eric, Captain Murder, Dad of Goldens, Average Joe 27, and Arthur. And then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja. So thank you so much. Your support really means a lot to me and helps support out the channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. I have so many videos to do. I need to edit my Gallo full battle report. Still need to talk about what happened at Warhammer Fest, because that was an event, so much drama. But yeah, I will be back soon. I'm actually going to edit another video after this. So remember, until next time, no matter what the stats say, you always have a chance to win, as long as you can roll a crit.